Tesla's first quarter deliveries plummet 31%. We'll talk about that and so much more on today's Money in the Morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning. I'm Bobby Rebell from the Financial Grown Up Podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen in New York City.
And live from my mom's half-finished basement in Detroit, Michigan, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy from Stacking Benjamins.
And this is the podcast where we rip stories from the headline. And not only do we just read that headline, we discuss it and we talk about why it matters to you and wrap it all up with some takeaways that you can make your own.
We got a good one today, Bobby, talking about Tesla. Too bad Elon Musk doesn't get any headlines.
We never seem to have anything to say about Elon Musk. We seem, by the way, for those of you who are new to this show, we talk about Elon Musk quite a bit. In fact, we even did a show where we featured Elon Musk's greatest tweets. That was a fun one. We have some tweets. We are gonna share some of his most recent tweets with a certain celebrity later in the show. So we get into it, Joe.
Let's not foreshadow too far. Lori, you want to kick this thing off?
Good morning. You supply the coffee. We'll bring the headlines. Here they come.
And I think our first headline today comes to us from the Wall Street Journal, Bobby.
Yes, it does. Today's first headline is Tesla's first quarter deliveries plummet by Tim Higgins over at, as you said, the Wall Street Journal. The company said new vehicle deliveries in the first quarter fell 31% from the previous 3 months as the electric car maker struggled to ship its Model 3 compact car to customers in Europe and China for the first time. The Silicon Valley automaker said it delivered about 63,000 vehicles in the latest period, worse than analysts already lowered expectations. Analysts on average, in fact, had predicted deliveries would drop to 73,500, according to FactSet, a figure reflecting total deliveries of Model 3, Model S, and Model X vehicles. Concerns of a slow start to deliveries in 2019. Tesla's books its sales when a car is delivered. That's important. They book the sale when a car is actually delivered. They've raised questions about the company's ability to meet its ambitious sales targets after it struggled for nearly 2 years to increase production of the Model 3, its lowest priced vehicle. Tesla had slashed the Model 3's starting price 3 times during the quarter, finally reaching its long-promised base of $35,000, suggesting to some analysts that demand for more expensive versions had plateaued. In other words, basically saying now that you can get it cheaper, that's what people are doing. Tesla is building a massive factory in Shanghai, China, the first wholly owned foreign-owned car plant in China. Last quarter, Tesla's first sales period following the phase out of U.S. tax credits went into effect, dropping to $3,750 from $7,500 for buyers. So it's getting a little bit more expensive for buyers to buy the cars. And they end at the beginning of next year. So that's a big cutoff that Tesla, I guess, is watching. Let's get back to the article. Tesla attributed the slowdown, so here's what they're saying, to challenges associated with taking the Model 3 overseas for the first time, noting it had only delivered half of the entire quarter's vehicles 10 days before the period ended. Oh boy. The company cautioned that lower than expected sales volumes, along with several price cuts, would negatively affect first quarter income. It said it planned to end the quarter with sufficient cash on hand. And then it gets into what some of the analysts said here. Let me just give you a couple samples of those. Joseph Spack, who is an analyst at RBC Capital Markets, says Tesla's explanation for the declines blamed on Europe and China speaks to the lack of planning and foresight that remains at the company. So this is something we're going to talk about in a minute. It goes down to operations, running the actual company. Dave Winston, who's an analyst I actually have interviewed a number of times. He's at Morningstar. He said the Model 3, quote, should bounce back in the second quarter if the transition challenges to delivering in Europe and China are behind them. In other words, if they get better at doing this. And then it goes on to talk about some of the specific challenges. And it gets into the fact that the Model 3 to customers has, I like this word, bedeviled the company ever since it cranked up production as Tesla's U.S. sales approached those of luxury brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz. The company has encountered a host of logistical issues. That's what we're going to talk about, people. Logistical issues from delivery and servicing of a growing fleet to balancing supply and demand. And this delivery challenge, of course, was especially pronounced in the first quarter when it started delivering these Model 3s overseas. Um, it just goes on from there about all of the different challenges that they faced. Joe?
Yeah,
Thoughts?
it's very frustrating, and if we go through Tesla over time, I think we get kind of a better picture of where we are today. Because so you have this car company that comes out, Elon Musk at the head of it, doing that plus a bunch of other really cool things. He also then he also begins not only with this cool looking car that people want to buy, but also with cool concepts for the future and throwing around a lot of stuff about where his car company is headed. He gets a ton of pushback from the big three, but he's able to navigate tons of storms, which has been really cool to watch Elon Musk thread the needle with his company and actually do something a new car company hasn't been able to do in America for a long time. I mean, Tesla is really, to my mind, the biggest U.S. car company since the big three, right? I mean, I can't think of anything else that's come out in the U.S. So from that point, it's exciting. But look at the erratic behavior lately and how much that seems to have affected things. I mean, Elon Musk.
Everything that you've said is because of and despite Elon Musk and all of these other things going on, all of these distractions. I mean, it is incredible what he's accomplished, despite the fact that even just this week, he's in court, in federal court, talking about whether he's in contempt of court because of his tweets. He's supposed to be supervised, Joe. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely. Right.
what he says is can affect the stock, which by the way is down about 20% this year. As of the time of this taping. So all of the stuff you say is great. And it's amazing when you think about despite what would happen if we didn't have these distractions.
People have been talking about Tesla's unwinding for some time now, like company detractors. And I wasn't on that train until about 6 months ago, when the tweets went from a little off the rails to incredibly off the rails. And then, some of the stunt things, like going on Joe Rogan's podcast and smoking weed with him and, and some of those things, which just and the boring company, and some of that, like the Hyperloop distraction. It just makes you wonder what the average person can really do. And you only have so much energy. And at first, my takeaway from this was, much like the AAF, this football league folding that I talked about on Thursday, I thought, well, this is a marathon, not a sprint. But I really think that Elon Musk has been running a marathon, and they have lasted well over a long time. And yet the marathon has to continue. And it just seems like we're watching Elon go off the rails.
Exactly. I mean, I think that Elon is going to have to make a decision. There has been chatter about whether he should maybe take a step back, maybe reposition his role at Tesla, because he is, in so many levels, so many people believe, truly genius in so much that he can do. Maybe he should get an operations guy in the mix. And that's something that has been talked about. In fact, I want to give credit to this idea. I saw the former Medtronic CEO talking about this. Maybe he should bring in someone like a Mark Field, who used to be with Ford, to actually run the logistics, because Elon Musk is so talented at other things. I mean, he's PR genius. For all that's been going on, people still are lining up to buy Teslas, and he gets into it. I mean, we were joking off camera. He was literally tweeting back to Sheryl Crow. Sheryl Crow puts out this tweet: help, who knows what to do when your Tesla screen goes black and the reset doesn't work. And Elon Musk gets right back to her. He's right in there, and he literally gives her instructions: change your screen preference from night mode to auto. And then he talks about the fact that it's the company's fault and now they're going to update their software. So he is in the thick of customer relations. He is genius at public relations in terms of getting attention for his company, because they're not the only electric car maker out there, but they get all the headlines, and that is his true talent. Clearly, his best talent is not logistics and operations. And so that also goes to the idea that maybe he should, and maybe we should, outsource things that are not the best use of our talents. He is so talented. Maybe you say, okay, this part of my life, you're going to outsource. So maybe you don't do, for example, we've got taxes coming up. Maybe you could do your own taxes, but you're distracted. You have other things that you want to do that you're better at. Hire someone to do your taxes, whatever it may be. Still be there, still be supervising, but there are things that other people maybe can do better than you can, or at least better than you choose to be with your time.
I think that's a key takeaway here is that we each have a unique talent. And if you spend your time focusing on that one unique talent, and even though somebody else might do the other stuff worse than you, I think a lot of people will do things worse than Elon Musk would. If he focuses on that one, and who's, what's for me giving Elon Musk advice is kind of ridiculous. But I think for the rest of us, I would say this: focus on your unique talent, give away the rest. I am guilty of this as much as anybody else. I like to do everything. I don't like to delegate. But like one mentor told me early in my career, if you don't delegate, you can only go at the speed of your two hands. You have to get more hands on the job to make sure you go somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to go slow no matter how talented you are.
Yeah. And it is a risk to bring in other people, and they may not do things the way he would like them to be done. But at the end of the day, I think Elon Musk is just so talented, but that doesn't mean he's superhuman, just like we are not superhuman. Sometimes it's good to delegate to other people.
Yeah, and I think our big takeaway here, though, is with some of the tweets Elon's had lately, and he's in court as we record this, work beats talk. I mean, focus on the operation and making a quality car, and good things happen. Talking about good things happening, not quite as much.
Agreed.
This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, hosted and produced by Bobby Rebell and Joe Saul-Sehy, is engineered by Caden Thompson, and all put together by a pack of well-trained ferrets down here in Joe's mom's basement. You'll find Bobby at the Financial Grown-Up Podcast and Joe at the Stacking Benjamin Show. Go say hi to them there, too. Online, visit us on Twitter at Average Joe Money and at Bobby Rebell, or come join a live recording at our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. I know you already know this too, but Money in the Morning is for entertainment purposes only. You should not act on anything recommended by a bunch of entertainers in a basement or even a Manhattan kitchen without first consulting your financial advisor. And second, dude, have your head examined. Have headlines you'd like us to discuss? Send them to joe@stackingbenjamins.com or put them on our Stacking Benjamins closed Facebook group. This show is a collaboration of Stacking Benjamins LLC and BRK Media LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and I reserve the right to always say, we'll see you next time back here on Money in the Morning.